Hello my beautiful friends and welcome back. So today I'm back with another sex Q&A, but this time it is an anonymous sex Q&A. So I asked for questions over on my Instagram like I always do, and I don't know if the anonymous part of this made you guys be totally transparent, but we have some interesting topics to discuss today and I'm very excited. I have my iced coffee in hand. This is becoming like a little routine of mine. Every time I sit down to film, I have to have my iced coffee. So our first question today is, I'm used to being dominated by guys, but my current boyfriend wants me to dom him and wants to call me mommy. I want to try it, but literally don't know how to be confident about it. Help, please. Okay, so the first thing I would say here is the fact that you want to try it. Just always be very in tune with yourself on whether you're comfortable with something or not. But if you obviously want to try this, let's talk about it. So when it comes to confidence, it's a lot to do with our attitude and how we're presenting ourselves, and using the tools you have, for example, your voice, is the best way to become confident in such scenario. I honestly think dirty talk is going to be your best friend here, because by using your voice it can help you feel more in that role as quote unquote mommy. I actually only took the dirty talk course over on Beducated, so I can share with you what I've learned, but this is where I would like to thank Beducated for sponsoring today's video and making it possible for me to continue to create this kind of content on my channel, because as you guys know, YouTube demonetizes all videos in relation to sex and doesn't push them out. Not a fan of them at all. If you're not familiar with Beducated, they are the Netflix of sexual wellness. I am obsessed. My all-time favorite online course platform. I have learned more over on Beducated than I have ever learned elsewhere. They're an online course platform with easy to follow written, audio and visual guides with a bunch of techniques and information for you to level up your love life and your sex life. It's incredible. You can currently get a whole day free on Beducated through my link below, so you can go over for a whole day, you can take a bunch of courses, see if it's a bit of you, and if you love it as much as I do, you can get 40% off the yearly pass using my code Jessie. They offer an expert-backed library of courses, and honestly the variety of courses over there is insane, and their library is constantly growing. But as I said, I recently took the Dirty Talk course and I found it very empowering for anyone who struggles with dirty talk. You know, a lot of us can feel very intimidated when we're in the bedroom and someone starts doing dirty talk, you know, freezing up, not knowing what to say, getting way too much in our head. It's something that I struggled with for years, and had I have had this course, I feel like it would have helped me get to the point I'm at now a lot quicker. The first thing she talks about is that we need to get aware and work out what are our fears when it comes to dirty talk. What is holding you back? So some common fears would be rejection, not being sexy, not having reciprocation from your partner, not being able to get out of your head. And then she talks about affirming your dirty talk. So affirmations for your dirty talk. Your affirmations must be present tense and they must be personal and also emotional or dramatic. So really getting in touch with what you're saying. She says how you should come up with 1 or 2 affirmations that you will repeat to yourself on a daily basis until you really start to believe it, because that's the whole point of affirmations. It's affirming to yourself what you are, what you want to be per se. So an example of an affirmation could be, I am the best dirty talker you have ever heard in your life. And you say that to yourself every goddamn day until you start to believe it, just constantly repeating it to yourself. Then the course moves into setting yourself up for success. So talk to your lover ahead of time. So whether you're on the couch, you're making dinner, you're messaging throughout the day, start the process way before you're actually in the bedroom. And then to ask your partner what kind of dirty talk they like and work out what kind of dirty talk you like, so you can share that with your partner, because there's so many variations when it comes to dirty talk. We have adored, challenged, directed, romantic, ego stroking, detailed. There's so many variations of dirty talk. Challenged dirty talk would be, I dare you to come before me. Directed dirty talk would be, go over there and get on your knees like a good girl. Or romantic, it could be, I love the way you love me. So you kind of get the point. We're kind of working out what we like when it comes to the bedroom. How do we want to be spoken to? Because no two people want to be spoken to in the same way. So figuring out what you do like, but it's also just as important to discuss your hard no's when it comes to dirty talk, and what are the things that are going to completely get you out of your head and essentially turn you off. It could be trigger words, things you don't want them to say, or how they say something. So she touched on how she had a client, and this client was explaining how she loved humiliation. So she loved to be called, for example, a whore in the bedroom. But her hard no was, don't insult my intelligence or my weight. So don't call me a dumb whore or don't call me a fat whore. So it's about working out what are them hard no's for you and communicating them. The course then gives a bunch of examples of dirty talk phrases you can use, from low to medium to high arousal. I'm talking like hundreds, I want to say. The amount of dirty talk phrases over there. Girlies, get yourself over to Beducated and get some of these phrases written down. I am telling you. Do you know that sometimes you're in the moment, you cannot access the phrases you want to use, but if you can just memorize 3 to 5 phrases, and then obviously you can switch them up if you feel like they're getting a bit repetitive. But they gave so many insane, incredible examples. Like, just reading some of them, I was like, ah! But honestly, when it comes to dominating your partner, using your voice is really going to empower you, because as soon as you say one thing and he responds well to it, that's going to give you a little bit of confidence to say the next thing, a bit more confidence again, the next thing. Do you see how it goes? So, and you can say your first phrase to him like over text, you know? So if you figure out what kind of dirty talk he likes, and then you could text him and be like, are you going to be a good boy with your pants off on the bed waiting for mommy when she gets home? And send him a message, something like that. So you can start it while you still have distance between you guys. And even that will give you more confidence, because he's going to respond well to that if he wants to be dominated. And then you just continue, you know? So the next question, we have a couple falling under the same kind of topic. So I've never had an orgasm without using a vibrator. Is it possible that I just can't have an orgasm without the extra help? I know a girlfriend of mine has the same issue. And another one of you guys said, I've been with my boyfriend for 2 years and still cannot come with him, only on my own. I feel completely comfortable, but it just won't happen. Do you have any advice? So the topic here is kind of only being able to reach orgasm with a vibrator on your own and not being able to come with your partner. I relate to you so freaking hard, because this was me for years. I had convinced myself that I would just never be able to reach orgasm without a vibrator, because it just didn't happen for so many years. And the first time I ever had an orgasm was with a vibrator, so I was like, this is just me now. But that is not the case whatsoever. It's important to remember that arousal is both physical and psychological stimulation. Our brain is our biggest organ. So make sure you're exploring your mental turn-ons the way that you do when you're on your own. So try and think to what really gets you going when you're using your vibrator. What are you thinking about? Where is your mind? Because I know myself, I do have a whole movie scene playing out in my mind. You know, you're often thinking back to some of your favourite sexual experiences, or maybe they might be fantasies that you have. I feel like when we're often with a partner, because there's another person involved, you know, we can often forget to switch on our mind, which is the place that we're getting to when we're using our vibrator. Go to a place in your mind, like even create a story around what's happening, or, you know, you can communicate to your partner about, you know, wanting to kind of have a little bit of a storyline. Maybe they might tell you to be quiet, and in your head you're like, oh, we can't get caught, there's somebody here that could walk in and catch us, you know. Another thing is, I feel like we can get very used to the intensity of a vibrator, because obviously a person's tongue or a person's fingers cannot mimic the insanely intense vibrations that come out of a vibrator. Like, you know, there's no arguing that. So kind of getting yourself used to some other kinds of stimulation, like whether that's you using your fingers yourself, or that's your partner going down on you, giving you oral, or your partner using your fingers, but getting used to them sensations, because it took me a very long time to get used to them sensations, because I was very used to the intensity of a vibrator. And I feel like that's something that a lot of us women struggle with as well. Well, I know I did in the past, is if your partner's going down on you, after a period of time, you can start to get a bit like frustrated. You're like, okay, it's been a while, you know, it's been 20 minutes, it's been half an hour now. I'm getting a bit frustrated because I'm not reached an orgasm and they've been down there for so goddamn long. And I'm like, is your neck okay? Is your jaw okay? You feeling all right? Fucking hell. So communicate that to your partner. Like, communicate how you really want to reach orgasm through oral, etc. But you need to kind of, you know, experiment and take your time with it. So like, have your partner give you oral or use their fingers, but don't have any pressure on you to reach orgasm. So that way you can completely fall into what's happening. Like, the only two ways I feel that you are going to reach orgasm with your partner is by either fully focusing on what they're doing and the sensations of it, or else, as I said, you know, going to your favorite sexual time with them, or have a fantasy going on with them. That's the only way you're going to be fully present as to what's going on, and so you can fully immerse yourself in the pleasure you're feeling. Because when somebody's giving you oral or using their fingers, it's a much slower build up versus a vibrator. Like, I can come in 2 minutes with a vibrator. It will take me 20 minutes to a half an hour to come if it's with my partner. And I think that's where a lot of us feel like we can't come with our partner, because it's not happening as quick as it can happen by yourselves or by using a toy, you know, a vibrator. Another thing is, if you've only ever reached orgasm through a vibrator, you don't even really know what you like. So you need to figure out what kind of pressure you like, what kind of rhythm you like, and the only way you're going to work that out is by, you know, experimenting with it. Like I said, taking a block of time and being like, right, you're going to go down on me now, and then direct them. Like, if they get the spot, be like, that's what I like, yes, keep it there, you know, really communicate to them while they're down there, because it is a different sensation to using a vibrator. But something that I found very helpful when I started this was, you know, I did that, and if it would get to like, it'd be 20 minutes, then I'd use my vibrator and I'd come. And doing that, it was kind of taking the pressure off it. So it was kind of like, right, we're both working out how this is going to work here, but you're not walking away without the orgasm, and it just takes the pressure of the orgasm off it. So then the next time, you know, you can do the same thing, but the next time you might actually reach orgasm, which is what happened to me. Do you know what I mean? And then you're like, okay, so now I'm in tune with my body. If it's through oral or through fingers or whatever, now I get that it's a slower build up. Now I know what it is that I like. Now I know how I want you and I need you to do it. But also, a lot of the time, them mental blocks are there. Like one of the girls saying, I feel completely comfortable, but it just won't happen. I thought the same thing. Like, I was like, I'm totally comfortable. What the hell is going on here? I clearly can't come unless it's with vibrator. There was some mental block still going on subconsciously. And a lot of the time it is subconscious. Like, you know, you can feel comfortable, but there's just something in your head that's stopping you from being fully present. And that's why I think really focusing in on what's happening, each touch, how it feels, honing into the sensations, or going somewhere in your head as well, do you know? Or even like having a mirror, like visually, having something you can visually look at. The last thing I'm going to say on this is, I feel like a lot of men in particular don't realise how long they need to be down there, and maybe your partner is just not spending long enough down there, because like I said, it is going to take you longer than with a vibrator, because it's not as an intense, you know, sensation. Communicate that to your partner. Communicate, it could take me 30 to 40 minutes to reach orgasm. Like, I'm just letting you know, so can we keep it going? And even if you need to change positions, or they need to get a bit more comfortable if their neck or jaw is hurting, you know, you can do that. But I feel like a lot of men just give up after a period of time. I often feel like if you feel like your partner is not patient, that will create a mental block in your head. So maybe you're fully comfortable, but you're kind of zoning into their energy and them getting a bit frustrated that they're down there so long. So making sure you have that conversation, and they express to you, even if you're in the moment and you ask them, are you okay? And then be like, of course I'm okay, shut up, like, you know, I'm fucking doing this, whatever. But make sure that line of communication's open, because that made such a difference to me. Like, knowing that my partner was happy to be down there for that long makes you relax, because it can take a while and it can take a lot longer on other days. So being patient with yourself and also your partner. That was a very long-winded answer. I hope you get where I'm coming from. I hope that helps in some sense, because I really do feel the frustration. If you can come by yourself and with the vibrator, you 100% can come with somebody else. You just have to get the process flowing in the way it needs to flow. My libido is much lower than my boyfriend's, and I feel guilty sometimes that he's always up for it and I only initiate sex because I feel bad that he's always the one to initiate. The sex is great when we do have it, and my partner always makes sure I'm comfortable. I just wish I was on the same level as him. First of all, it's so important to remember that sexual desire changes throughout a long-term relationship, and it also changes throughout our life. There's so many things that are going to affect our libido libido, some being stress, illness, medication. So many factors come into it, and throughout our life, even for people who have a high libido, it goes up and it goes down and it goes up and it goes down, and it's going to do that throughout our whole life for various bunch of reasons. Sometimes we do have to make a conscious effort to be intimate with our partner. If we sit around and wait for us to be in the mood, it may never happen. So the fact that you're saying that when you do have sex, the sex is great, it tells me that you're enjoying the sex. It's just getting yourself to that place of wanting to have sex and being turned on and being in the mood. But once you guys start, you are turned on and you're wanting to do it. So I don't think it's bad that you are only initiating because he does it most of the time, because when you're at the destination, you're enjoying it. And for everybody, like, sometimes you do have to make that conscious decision. You say you wish you were the same as him, but there's no point in beating yourself up about this, because you are the way you are and you cannot change your libido. It is how it is. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with what you're doing. Like, that sounds like it's working perfectly. Something that might help is like scheduling weekly sex, so therefore you know when it's going to happen, so you can like prepare yourself, and then your partner who has a higher sex drive also knows when, you know, you will have sex, and that there's not going to be maybe a huge gap in between it if that is the case. And like, just say you're like, right, on a Friday evening we're going to spend some time together, have a date night, and, you know, get a little bit freaky. And then you could even, you know, have your shower, you could maybe use your vibrator, you could get yourself going before you go into the bedroom with him, you know. But I feel like what you're doing is absolutely perfect. Like, as long as you're enjoying it when you're there. I would say don't initiate if you're hating every minute of it, but, you know, sometimes you do just have to make that effort. So, you know, just be a bit easy on yourself and realize, you know, you are the way you are. Once you are both satisfied, which it seems to me, because you seem to be very in tune with your partner's sex drive, and I'm sure you've spoke to your partner about yours, maybe explain that to your partner if you haven't already, how you struggle to get in the mood, but once you start being intimate, you are in the mood and you're enjoying it. So maybe you do need your partner to do a bit more of the initiation, and there isn't nothing wrong with that. Like, every relationship is so different, and for different reasons it might lean more one way than the other. But maybe even your partner throughout the day, as we were talking about earlier, so even coming up behind you, grabbing your waist, whispering something in your ear, kissing your neck, sending you a cheeky little message, like, maybe you need a little bit more of a build up, you know, and maybe then things can help you get in the mood. But honestly, do not feel guilty about it whatsoever, because these things are completely out of our control. Oh my goodness. Well, that took a turn for the fucking worst. I literally spent the last 20 minutes on my hands and knees frantically scrubbing this couch because I spilled the rest of my iced coffee. I went to the toilet, I was walking back, and I kicked it. I kicked the glass. How such a small amount of liquid can make such of a mess, I'll never understand. I was frantically Googling how to get coffee stains out of couch. I'm feeling very fulfilled right now because I got it out. Kim and Aggie who? Huh? Oh my god, my heart is racing. My heart rate's 132 at the minute. If that doesn't tell you how stressed that made me, I don't know what will. Right, okay, I've just started having sex and I'm currently using condoms because I've heard bad things about the pill, but I'm constantly worried about condoms breaking. Do you have any tips / your experience of other contraception that has worked for you? The first thing that I would say is that I wouldn't knock the pill until you've tried it, because it does work for so many people. Like, there's so many women who swear by the pill and have had nothing but a positive experience. So if it's something that you are interested in trying, I definitely would, because it might possibly suit your body, and if it doesn't, then you can come off it. But in terms of other contraceptions that has worked for me, if you are worried about condoms breaking, I couldn't recommend you tracking your cycle enough, so using the likes of Natural Cycles. So with Natural Cycles, you take your temperature every month and you pop it into the app, and then it'll give you a red or a green day. So we're only actually fertile for about 6 days of the whole month. So if you were to start tracking your cycle, you could figure out where you are fertile when you're ovulating, and just avoid sex for that week. Like, it's literally only 6 days out of the whole month, and that would be my best advice to you if you are very worried about condoms breaking. That way you're basically double protecting yourself, because you're only going to be having sex when you're not fertile, which is 3 out of the 4 weeks in the month. Quite a lot of questions around this topic. So have you ever had periods of low sex drive? I sometimes go like 2 weeks where I'm just not interested, hoping this is relatively normal. It's not always, please reassure. And someone else said, do you find that your sex drive fluctuates? Like sometimes it'll be high and other times nada. So many of you guys wondering if it's normal for your sex drive to be fluctuating. 100%. I go through periods of low sex drive. Sometimes I am mad for it, and other times it's like, don't even touch me, don't even look at me like that. So normal. Like I was saying, you know, throughout life it goes like this, and even throughout the month I feel like it goes like this, especially for us women with our hormones. Like if you are in sync with your cycle, I don't know if you've ever read up about it or watched videos about it, but men have a 24-hour cycle, we have a 28-day cycle, and we go through 4 different phases each month, and depending on what phase we're in affects everything within our body, our hormones, how we're feeling, our sex drive, etc. So it's so normal, girls. Do not be worrying, do not be freaking out at all. Please do not stress about it. It is the most normal, natural thing in the world for your sex drive to fluctuate, and I'd love if you could share down in the comments below if your sex drive fluctuates, because any woman who I've ever spoken to, sex drive fluctuates. So it's alright. Deep breaths, we're grand, you're fine, nothing wrong with you. The only thing that it does mean is that you're bloody goddamn human. I can't make him come through oral. My gag reflex is just too much. How do people do this? That made me laugh so much. How do people do this? Okay, so when it comes to oral, your hand is your best friend. You do not need to be shoving that down the back of your throat continuously. You don't need to do that whatsoever. Use your hand and just focus on the tip of his dick. That was very aggressive. Dick. Think of it as if you have like an ice lolly. Do you know, like a clip or something? And when you're sucking it, it's only kind of going halfway down the back of your mouth. Like it's not hitting the back of your throat. So just focus on the tip, like licking it and sucking it, and then use your hand. Your hand is your best friend. You know, you don't just have to use your mouth. And that way you most definitely will be able to make him come through oral. You're probably just putting too much emphasis on solely using your mouth and therefore going all the way down his dick when you don't need to do that whatsoever. I feel like the next one is one that a lot of women are going to be able to relate to. So myself and my fella have been going out for months, and I faked an orgasm every time. I don't know what to do now because I can't just tell him, he'd be so hurt. I've gotten close a good few times and I get kind of grumpy when I don't come, which isn't fair on him at all. Any advice, please? I feel like a lot of women are going to be able to relate to you. I know I have been in your position in the past, and I understand how frustrating it is, especially once you've started faking the orgasms. You have really put your foot in it, and we have no one to blame but ourselves. Like, we really don't. We cannot be faking orgasms. We can't do it because it's taken away from our own experience. And then we find ourselves in situations like this where you're like, okay, I've been lying, and I can't just turn around now and say you haven't made me reach orgasm because they've been feeling like God's goddamn gift, and you're just going to drop them to the fucking floor like that. But at the end of the day, we're the ones who was telling them we came when we most fucking didn't. First thing I would say is to communicate, but I understand that you really don't want to do that because you're saying that he'd be so hurt. So if you really don't want to communicate, even though that will be your best friend, the next best thing that I could suggest for you, so the fact that you're saying that you've gotten close a few times tells me that he's doing it the way you like, and he's doing what you need him to do. So that's good. At least he's not way off the mark and we're basically starting from scratch. You know, he seems to kind of have the gist of what you need him to be at. Your only other option here is to persevere. So the next time he's giving you oral, do not say you've came, okay? Keep going. And whether that's 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and just say that you're not reaching orgasm. I'd then turn around to him and just be like, oh, it's just not happening for me today for whatever reason. Do you mind if I use my vibrator? Or, you know, I might do it while you kind of masturbate as well. I want you to watch me. Kind of just change it up so that you are reaching orgasm, but then do it again the next time. So do not tell him that you have come again, and just keep pushing through, because if you are getting close, you know, you're clearly aren't far from reaching the destination. So if you just push through it a little bit longer, like I'd say what's happening is when you feel you're close, you're telling him that you've came. And maybe just communicate to him, just be like, it can take me a little bit longer sometimes, like I hope you don't mind, like can we just do this for a little bit longer, like just communicating in that sense if you don't want to tell him that, you know, he hasn't made you reach orgasm yet. But that's literally your only option, and if you do that you will get there. But like I said, if it's not happening, do it yourself, or get your vibrator out, or you know, make sure you're still reaching orgasm until you get there with your partner. But I understand how shit that is, like once you have started off on that foot, it's very hard for you to take the shoe off. Our next one is, my boyfriend is the love of my life, best relationship ever, planning to get married in the next year or two, etc. But he hates going down. He'd never done it before me because he'd put it off with his exes because it freaks him out, but it's my favourite part of sex. Any tips? Okay, so the first thing I would say here is the fact that he's never done it before because it freaked him out. So I would have a conversation with him and I would just express to him how much you love oral sex and how important it is to you and how much it means to you when your partner engages in oral with you. I understand that he's saying it freaks him out, but he's never done it. So you can't say that you don't like something until you've tried it, like if we're being totally honest, you know, because like everything in life, we all have fears and there's things that freak us out, but half the time when we do it, we're like, that's actually not half as bad as it was in my head, because we build it up and we create so much anticipation around things in our heads that normally it's not half as bad as we make it out to be. So I would just express to him that you would really love if he would try, just try, and at least if he tries, then he can make his decision on if he really doesn't like it or if he does. And if he really hates it, unfortunately, just vice versa, if you hated going down on him, we cannot make people do things that they're not comfortable with, and we cannot make people be comfortable with things that they're not, unfortunately. We do have to respect people's boundaries in the bedroom, but my only issue here is that he's never tried it. Like, darling, get the fuck over yourself, get down there, and then you can let me know if you hate it that much. So maybe he's not aware just how much it means to you, but again, if he really does hate it and he just will not kind of compromise about it, he's like very clear about not liking it, I would just say you're going to have to find another way to kind of meet that need, because you say that he's the love of your life, best relationship ever, you're planning to get married. Like, it's clearly not a deal breaker in the grand scheme of things. Like, if you have everything else and everything else is flowing and you're very happy with everything else in your relationship, you know, you definitely can meet this need in another way if he's not willing to do it for you. Like, maybe, you know, investing in some toys and getting him to use the toys on you so it feels more like a kind of intimate experience instead of it just being you. And I'd also try and understand what freaks him out about it. Like, if you can really try and, you know, delve into his head and work out what kind of thoughts he's having that are going on up there, because you might be able to help reassure him and help him feel more comfortable. So yeah, I honestly think they are the only things that you can possibly do in this situation, but I understand, because oral is my favourite part of sex as well. Like, I would really struggle to be without it, so I totally relate on that sense. I have my fingers and toes crossed for you that he tries it for you and he ends up loving it and realises that it wasn't half as bad as he was making out to be in his head, and oral becomes a weekly little occurrence for you. Had a one night stand with a hot guy but caught me wishing that it was a woman while having sex. Now I'm confused whether I'm actually lesbian, identify as bisexual, or if I'm just longing to have sex with a woman. Was with men but not with women in bed so far. I would personally say that you are just longing to have sex with a woman. I don't think just because you were thinking of being with a woman while you were sleeping with a man, it necessarily means that you're a lesbian. The fact that you say you've been with men but not women, you're probably just yearning for that experience if you've never had it. And I don't think you would be able to decide if you were a lesbian until you've had that experience, because if you have that experience and then you're like, I could not even think of having sex with a man, that would be a way you know you're a lesbian. But if you do enjoy sex with men, you might just be curious about being with women, so that means that you are still bisexual. And I wouldn't focus so much on the labels. Maybe just try and go on a date with a woman and kind of have some experiences with women, and then you'll have a much better understanding about your preferences and how you feel. And also, you can be bisexual but have more of a preference to women or have more of a preference to men. it's not 50-50. Like for most people it is not a 50-50 split, so also to keep that in mind. But I wouldn't worry about that too much. I feel like that's very normal, especially since it was a one night stand. Like you don't have any emotional attachment to this person, so the fact that your mind went wondering doesn't necessarily mean anything. We have another one about bisexuality. So can I still be bi if I like sex with both genders, but lately I've only been having sex with men? 100%. Honest to God, bisexual erasure has really affected so many bisexuals, I feel, to the point that we often try and diminish our own feelings and our own experiences and our own sexuality because we feel like we're not bi enough or whatever the fucking case it is, which is just insane, and it makes me so angry. Yeah, because like the way life goes, you know, maybe it's not accessible for you to have sex with women at the minute, so that's why you were mostly sleeping with men. That doesn't mean anything. Like if you were mostly sleeping with women, it doesn't make you a lesbian. Like you still enjoy sleeping with both genders, therefore you're bisexual, you know? If you were sleeping with men and couldn't think about sleeping with a woman or being with a woman, then I would say you're probably not, but you're saying you enjoy sleeping with both genders, so don't fucking put yourself down. Don't be trying to put yourself into a fucking box that society tries to put us into because they don't agree with bisexuals and they don't think it's a thing and we're just greedy and all this bullshit. No. Honestly, you are most definitely still bisexual. Anyone else really vanilla and is perfectly okay with that. We rotate the same approximately 7 to 8 positions and it's a lush. 100%. Girls, 7 to 8 positions. I wouldn't call that vanilla. I'd say most people just have their number of favourite positions that they rotate. 100%. Like, no, but seriously, I think every couple would be like that, because once you find the things that you fucking love and get you off every time and you really enjoy, of course you're going to keep doing them things. You're not just going to try things that you know you don't enjoy just for the sake of trying something new. Okay, my darlings, I'm going to wrap it up here. I feel like we covered a really good variety of subjects today, but make sure you're following me over on Instagram if you want to get involved with these videos going forward. They're going to be anonymous anymore, so you can totally let loose without having any worries of even me knowing who you are. But I really hope you found this helpful, you enjoyed, you maybe picked up something you didn't know, a little tip or two. But thank you so much for watching. I love you guys so very much, and don't forget you can get 1 day free on Beducated using my link down below. I would 100% be availing of that, girls. You will learn so bloody much over there. But yeah, I love you so very much, and I'll see you guys super duper soon. Bye my friends.